Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today is, I guess, the kind of almost semi-traditional now on this channel, end of year going into 2025 reading. So the focus is really 2025, so the new year. So last year it would have been at the end of 2023, there was a reading for 2024 and so forth. Having said that, if you have stumbled upon this sometime later in 2025 or even after that and you still feel drawn to it, then look at it as a reading for the next 12 months from whenever you come to this reading. But by and large, I think most people with the thumbnail and all that will come to this if they feel drawn to it at some point leading into 2025, either when the actual pick a card is published or sometime thereafter. So I am feeling into this to some degree around a very major astrological event that has occurred sort of during November, so leading in, but which will cast its shadow for blessings and challenges over the next decade and a half at the least, and that is Pluto moving into Aquarius. So Pluto is moving out of Capricorn, where it's been for probably the last 16 or so years when the move occurred, which is around about mid-November. And so it's a very long range thing. You know, it may not sort of like aspect or do anything in your chart for quite some time. But if you have any planets in the early degrees of Aquarius, or indeed if you have any planets in the early degrees of any sign, because it would be then an aspect, you may find that over this next year and possibly into 2026, Pluto's energy of transformation and growth, personal development, but also sometimes challenge could be a major factor. So it will be interesting to see to what degree that seems to come up in these readings. This is a collective reading though, so bear that in mind. If I'm talking about things that look like that, if you know your chart, you may be able to work out whether that is likely to be impacting you. And depending if you have your full chart and you know what house your various planets are in, you might be able to work out what area in your life that transformative energy is likely to occur. But as I say, this is a very long range transit. So as the years progress, it will go over later degrees in Aquarius. So if you have that might come up then, or later degrees in key planets, particularly things like your sun, your life path, Venus for love, that kind of thing. Or anything that is also very transformative aspects to Uranus in your chart. So that's if you know your chart. It doesn't really matter that for this purposes of this. We're going to look at some planetary pairings as part of this, but we're not really exploring the Pluto in Aquarius transit more generally, because as I say, it's a very long range one, but it's significant. So what we are going to look at is 4 areas of your life: love and relationships, career, vocation, general well-being and spiritual sort of progress. And we'll look at the general energies around that. We'll get a little bit of extra information on each, and then we'll bring it together at the end. So this might be relatively quick readings. It's a bit hard to sort of say. It depends on how much stuff comes up. So we shall see. What I have decided to do to help with the choice is have a different tarot deck as the tarot deck we're going to use in the different readings. And to help with the choice, again, I shuffled for each pile and asked Spirit that the first major arcana card that came out would be something to help you choose the pile, what you're drawn to, and a little bit of a taste of some of the energy. I mean, we are looking at 4 very distinct areas of life, so it may be only one of them that it really applies to. So for pile number 1, we have the Ouroboros Tarot and we have the Sun card. For pile number 2, we have Tarot of a Distant Kingdom with the Hermit card. And for pile number 3, we have the White Fly Tarot with the High Priestess card. So as I say, that might help you choose, but if you always go to a particular number, that's fine. Do that. Do whatever works for you. Pause and contemplate if you need. But when you know what reading or readings, because it could be that there's some message for you spiritually in another reading, and the core stuff around love and work and so forth is in another. So you do whatever works for you. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you come to the reading with the Sun. That's a very positive card. I think just straight out from the bat, that tells me that there's likely to be a lot of positive energy, a lot of growth, a lot of progress for you in this year, and that you are probably entering 2025 with a sense of optimism, or that some external events, because major arcana picks up things that happen from external sort of forces, are going to occur pretty early in the piece that make you feel optimistic and feel joyful again. Often the sun will come from a period of time of difficulty. If you think of it in the major arcana, the things that come before it are things like the moon and the the tower card and the star, like sort of like hope and major change and major upheaval. And then like the sun is like you get back onto your sort of path again. So I feel like there's something like that for the people here. And there's a real sense of moving forward. I also think in this deck, the white horse, it makes me think of the meaning of a white horse in the sense of being a spiritual messenger. So I think there is a strong spiritual message for you here that is about getting back to optimism, getting back to feeling like you can move forward, almost feeling like you can fly. When this particular child, I love this child in this deck, it's not just sort of riding the thing looking happy, it's like jumping for joy as it rides the horse. So I do feel we have a sense of joy, we have a sense of exhilaration, full stop. Now that doesn't mean every area of your life through the whole year is going to be perfect, of course. This is life. Life has its sort of ups and its downs. But overall, I think you're on the right life path, I would say. You're following your life path, and there's a renewed vigor to it. So that's a great start. So let's just put down 3 cards for love and relationships, for career and vocation. Now, why I say career and vocation, it's not all of you are in a job or running a business. So vocation is a broader thing. It's what you're here to be and so forth. So career and vocation, general well-being and spiritual development. So 2025 for pile 1 in terms of love and relationships. The Fool, there's a lot of it, and a lot of you are probably going to start a new relationship or take a relationship to the next level. King of Pentacles reversed, the Empress. Wow, okay. Then when we look at career and vocation, the Lovers, 6 of Wands reversed, 5 of Wands, okay. When we look at general well-being, 2025 for pile 1, 2 of Swords, the Chariot, the Knives. Gee, there's a sense of action with you guys. I think there's a lot of action, a lot of movement. I'm just going to say straight out the bat, some of you are going to move home, some of you are going to travel a lot, some of you are going to move jobs, some of you are going to shift relationships. It's just a sense of forward momentum. It's really powerful. It's positive, I think, by and large, but, there might be challenges around some of it, but, the real sense of, like, forward movement. And around spiritual progress, the Hierophant reversed, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hanged Woman. Boy, it's a powerful year. I mean, quite apart from anything else, we've got a lot of major arcana here. Obviously, everybody's going to have the first card, but, like, with 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7 cards out of 12 are major arcana. This is what that tells me is that for pile number 1, there's a lot of major steps along your life path, and that makes sense with the sun. Like the sun is all about your life path, and the major arcana in many ways is about your life path. So this year is going to have some pretty big milestones, quite apart from anything else for you. Secondly, the external world is going to have a very big impact, and for the most part, when I'm looking at this, very positively, though, as I say, there could be some challenges around it. You're a little bit of an iconoclast, particularly spiritually, and you may, around your work, have to look at how to find the best connections and best relationships. There's some relationship management stuff necessary there and some choices around that. But by and large, it's very, very positive. So right out from the gate. I mean, we are going to be looking at various things in this reading that could be a bit challenging. Depends on, what Spirit wants to say, but very, very positive to start out. In terms of relationships, the old order is finishing. That's the other thing I would say about this. I feel like, when you've got the Fool, when you've got the Sun as the life path, and then the first card that comes out, granted that we've got it in particular areas of life, but nevertheless, the first card that comes out is the Fool. This tells me that there's a lot of new beginnings. And with the King of Pentacles reversed, there's old ways of relating, old ways of being, like connections, relations, any relationship that has done its purpose. And that doesn't mean it has to be bad. It could be just that it is what it is. Like a classic thing for some of you there might be that if you're quite young, you might be at a point where, you've been living with your family and maybe sort of under the financial support of your family, and you're now, you've got a job, you're stepping out, and you're really going to start to build things for yourself. And so you're separating out from the sort of maybe almost financial support. It almost looks like financial support from the paternal figure and the nurturing support from the maternal. But, that's very heteronormative. So it doesn't have to be literally that in terms of the gender, but that could be a classic thing there of moving out to do that. And that doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that at this point it's time for you to create for yourself. So that may be something for some of you. And it could be even, you've been living with someone, you've been flatting with people, and now you want to live on your own. You've been in a relationship, but you now want to nurture your own path, and it's not going to be taking you forward. There's something about the old giving way to the new, but the feeling of it is that if you had tried to hang on to the old, it would be a kind of there would be no return on investment in a way. So there's something new, going towards something new and nurturing and building something new. If you haven't been in a relationship, you might have been very focused on career and material things or whatever, and that you may have got to the point where you reached what you needed with that, and you don't need to be sort of focusing so much on that. So now you can look at new ways of relating. You could be right at the end of your career, and you could be like, it's time to retire, and now, gee, I can have really fun, and I can say, who do I want to kind of like create with and move forward with. So whatever it is around relationships, whether it's romantic or other relationships, there's a sense of the new. But it is on your life path, and it's positive. There's a lot of abundance that can be had from it. It could be literally going from an earlier part of your life where you were like, first of all with your family, and then you were single and having fun, and now you've actually committed to a relationship. You've started to move forward, and you're thinking about having a family. And like you've kind of sorted through maybe some financial things and you're ready to do that. So whatever it is, it's very positive. What I'm not seeing is a lot of a sense of romance. Now we might see that coming up later, but if you are not with someone, like I think a lot of people here might be with someone, or that might not be the main focus for them, but if you are looking for someone, then that's a good sign as well too, of finding something nurturing and something very different from the past. So whatever it is, there's a sense of the new, and as I say, on your life path. So as long as you don't try and hold on to old patterns, old structures, old securities, because they've done what they were going to do for you. You don't, as I say, you don't have to demonize it. If it's leaving a relationship to go and find what you need next, it's not that the relationship was necessarily bad, but to stay with it, you don't grow, they don't grow. So that's the kind of energy there. When we're looking at career, relationship management is a really big thing here. You may be doing a job, a career, or something in your vocation that is about relationship issues. So that could be anything from doing sort of psychology, counseling, therapy, that kind of thing, through to being, someone like I used to be, like an HR person, someone who looks at like team management, interpersonal relationships, or you might in the workplace, or you might be sort of someone who there's a lot around client liaison or stakeholder liaison, because the lovers is not always about love. Now, it is possible for some of you, you're going to meet someone and it's going to be a love connection in work. And with these two things together, because maybe it can't be seen, it would be a problem in the workplace, you may leave a workplace because there could be some that leave a workplace because you actually meet someone. It's a bit frowned on in the workplace, so you move on. But that's a good thing if that happens. So interesting, in a way, it almost feels like if there's a romantic thing operating here, it connects to a change in the workplace. But otherwise, I just feel as though you're in a situation where there's a lot of petty stuff, and you may not feel like you're getting full recognition. So that's something to be thinking about with your career at this point, or vocation that you're doing, because you are very good at fixing this. I think you keep a lid on conflict, but as a result, maybe you're not able to really position yourself to get recognition. I often think that happens with people who smooth things over, whether it's in relationship stuff or just in terms of work. I remember looking at an issue with somebody who was a sort of administrative support. Like, it's a bit different to what I'm saying here, but it's an example. And she was very good at what she did. She was very good at what she did, and she was so good that most of the time it was seamless and you wouldn't even know she was doing it. Every once in a while something would go wrong because she was juggling a lot of things. And then people would critique and they'd say there was an issue. And I had to sit down with people and say, look at this, and this. Is there ever an issue with that? No. And she's doing all that. Okay. So what that means is that every once in a while you only see the problem because she's so good at what else she does. That's what I feel is there's almost that sense here for you. It's like you're very, very good at stuff and very good at keeping things calm, but you may be sacrificing a bit of your own recognition. So it's just something to think about. We'll see what else we get. In terms of general well-being, again, you want to move forward. There's a real sense of momentum, and this could be particularly a thing here. You might be saying, I've got the right connections, I've got the right networks. I want to want to get a promotion this year, but I'm not feeling like I'm being seen. So there's a little bit of a sense of impatience around the general well-being. And as I often say when that comes up, I'm the least patient person you're likely to ever meet, so I absolutely sympathise if you are feeling that. But you really do want to get moving. The Chariot wants to get moving. Knight of Swords wants to go fast. One of the risks around this could be around moving into something, you get so impatient you just do something without having all the information, because the Two of Swords is kind of making a decision when you don't have all the information. Now, I wouldn't overly stress that as a problem because, let's face it, that's what life is. So I say life is making decisions with imperfect information because we never really know. We just look at what we do know and make the best decisions we can. But there could be something around your general well-being. If you are feeling the effects, the stress effects of wanting to get moving, wanting to do more action, that you kind of jump in before researching it. So a good example might be, say you've decided I need to build my fitness, and you just jump straight in. You do everything at full pelt, and then the next day your body like collapses and you every muscle aches and you're like, oh, I think I overdid that. There's almost that kind of energy. I think it's like in the enthusiasm to keep moving. Make sure where you can that you don't rush in until you get sort of facts, particularly around your well-being overall. And if you are looking at leaving, make sure you've got the facts around the workplace you're going into, because you don't want to sort of just change for change's sake and then find yourself in the same situation. Spiritually, this is big. This is 3 major arcana. You're definitely looking at something that's different to the norm. This could be that you're exploring some new spiritual thing that you haven't looked at before. Or it could be that you've been part of you've really followed one particular religious tradition and you're now exploring beyond that. But there's definitely a sense of something that is new and a bit different to what you've done before. It is the right time to do it, but it's a go within energy. So I think it's sort of like, because it's so different, it's not the right time this year necessarily to discuss it with a lot of people if you think there could be pushback. If you don't think there's pushback, that's fine. It could be bringing a new perspective and it's good, and you can bring a new perspective to friends and family and spiritual groups you're around. But otherwise, I think this is a good time for inner contemplation about alternative belief structures. That makes a lot of sense with Pluto going into Aquarius. There is such a shift in that from going from the very material focus into something that is more transpersonal. It's a very good time to kind of like sense those energies. So I think it's a powerful time, and a time where you might find sort of psychic or spiritual abilities that you didn't know you had come to the surface as a result of internal thinking it through. Okay, so let's get a little bit more information. I'm going to sort of start firstly with just a couple of Lenormand cards for each of them. So like pure fortune energy, just to see what we get again around that. So around love and relationships, where it looks like something new, the leaving of the old, the beginning and the nurturing of the new, we get bouquet. I don't read these reverse. That just came up. So bouquet or flowers. So this is a time where at its best there is a lot of growth and and that sort of fits with the Empress, and like it's, a gift or an opportunity comes. Sometimes flowers come also when there's been an illness. This isn't really, if it was in the well-being, I'd be more likely to think that. I think this is much more likely, it also connects to lilies in the Lenormand deck a little bit more with that, but it is sort of something to think about. But I think overall there is a gift. There is a gift coming to you around love and relationships from your exploration. And house, it's like something about who you are, where you want. Like, I think a lot of you might be moving out from situations, changing where you live, all of that, so that you can grow your new direction, but there's a sense of security with it. So overall, whatever this is, even if you have to give something up, it's a gift. It's a good energy. Okay, then when we look at the fortune energy around career, which I think is the one area where there's the most challenge potentially for you this year, we have Tower. That's actually showing you're stable. Okay, so the Tower in Lenormand is almost the exact opposite in meaning of the Tower in Tarot. So it is something stable and secure. So It may be that because you're very good at what you do, that you are prepared to sacrifice a bit of the recognition because it's a stable situation and you've got good connections with people, and like any of the kind of politics or whatever you can keep at a minimal level. So it's possible you might go, it may not be perfect at the moment, but it's stable. We also have Lily. Okay, so there could be, I think this is connecting to this. I think that the key issue for you, you're in a stable position financially, personally, like in terms of your career or vocation, like what you're doing there, you could keep doing it. It's stable. But there is something where there's a little bit of like, it's almost like you need to recover from something that feels a little bit like an illness or something not right. Now, I'm not saying you're literally going to have a physical illness. I think this is why I felt this is connected. I think that maybe the watchword is stability. So it's like if at the moment you feel a little bit lackluster because you're not getting recognition, you may get very impatient to move on. But the thing is to make sure that what you focus on, if you do that, is information about how stable the next opportunity is. Because it's just, there's a kind of impatience to do this. I think many of you may move on in a workplace, but I feel like that's the thing to think about, because otherwise there's a possibility of kind of rushing in and then having the same situation, or having a situation where it doesn't feel stable, where it feels like you're always trying. Whereas over here you seem to be in control of the environment in many ways. It's just you're not getting the recognition or the progress. So let's see around general well-being. Heart. Okay, all right. For some of you, there's sort of like look at issues around your heart, around, like what makes it beat in a regular way, what makes it feel under control, what do you want to do in your heart? That's got to be part of it. So it's sort of partly stability and partly heart. But for some of you, there may be sort of things like, exercise programs to strengthen your heart, to strengthen your cardio heart. But it could be love coming in too. That's generally speaking what the heart means in Lenormand. So there could be love coming that's connected to some sort of a change. When you change something material and you move on, but it needs to be something also that's solid and stable, then you can actually see what comes of that. Second card for general well-being. Side, something has to end. Something has to end for you. This is all over this, for the new life path, or all that. Something has to end for that to happen. I think it's about timing. It's about making sure that you understand all the implications and that you go from one stable thing to another. That's what it's talking about. Then spiritually, coffin. You're also shaking that up. I think that for some of you, what you've been doing spiritually isn't really working anymore. It worked for a while, but you've almost graduated beyond it, or it's just not working. You might have been saying, I'm doing law of attraction, and it's not working. There might be some other thing to work, and that kind of thing. So there's just a sense of like you're shaking everything up this year, and it's a good time to do it. But as I say, you need to go within. And ring, okay. Go within first. Eventually, you're going to find a really good connection coming out of that. It could be a very strong spirit guide, or it could be that there's a kind of combination of all of this. It's like you're ready to do the new adventure. You have a sense that you have to materially change things, but you do want to make sure that you get the balance right between recognition and stability. And that helps you make the right decision about what to end and what to move forward with. That shakes this up and that brings a connection. So for some of you, there is a significant relationship coming in if you're looking for that. It doesn't have to be love as romance if you're not looking for that. So, it could be, but there's some connection or whatever that comes out of this change that is good. Okay, so let's see chakra energy for you. Just like what's the kind of balance of over or under, what chakras are being triggered in this year around the 4 different areas. So for love and relationships, we have the root chakra. Underactive, I am disconnected. Yeah, I think this is the thing. This is why something something needs to shift. There's a kind of the security of the house, the security of the tower. These are important to find security where you're going, but you've got to reconnect it because at the moment something is spent around that. It's probably why I was feeling almost the lily energy in the bouquet as well. So it's like, how do you reconnect? And this is part of the journey, to reconnect to others, to your heart, to your relationships, all of that kind of thing. The chakra energy that's around career is third eye. I see and connect to the universe, balance. So yeah, you're really good at understanding people, groups, and all that sort of stuff. But as I say, like your connection is to the universe, it may not be seen directly. Or people just might not actually say it. It might be that if you suddenly got up and left, they'd all go, oh, this person's left. They were the person who was keeping everything stable. But your kind of vocation is connecting back to your source and to who you are. And you're really good at that. You've got almost a telepathic understanding of others, but it's a little bit under the radar, as I say. So it's like, how do you almost productize that in a way for your own progression? And in terms of general well-being, the chakra energy is also third eye. I see, but I'm unable to self-reflect. Okay, your very other person, this is the thing, because you're really good at connecting with others, I think some of you may, and this might be the Hierophant as well too, it might be having an aha moment that quite a lot of what you're sort of feeling is maybe what's directing you, or what your life path is. It's always directing you towards others, but I think it's because you're highly telepathic and you may not have at this point realized how much stuff is coming in. I think there might be something about you need to cut some of this off from your heart because your empathy is really strong. You need to stop a lot of that electric energy coming in because it's destabilizing things. If you have the aha moment that so much other energy from others is crowding in, you're not getting to look at what you need to look at, which is why when you realize this, you need to go within. Then you will make the right connections. I think this is a year to have the sense of, oh, I didn't realize I was that psychic. I didn't realize that was going on. And then when we look at the spiritual chakra energy, we have the solar plexus and we have overactive. I do act competitively. Okay, so that's the other thing. It might be that, or this might be something also that you need to be aware of. So it could be that what happens with all of this is that the reason you're getting frustrated here is you're so kind of focused on other people, but you do actually want to succeed. And you feel like on a spiritual level, you're letting yourself down. So you kind of, every time you would start to look at that and go, am I doing something for myself? It's almost like you say to yourself, oh, that's just competition. That's just ego. But the solar plexus needs to kind of be regulated. I actually think for you, oddly enough, that's a mantra you've got for yourself, that spirituality is selfless. And it plays out there like that. It plays out even in relationships where any new direction is also about nurturing others. There's sort of something, and you're getting really frustrated with it. So you just need to kind of balance it out, I think. That's all this is saying. So what we will have a look at is a little bit of tough talking potentially that you might need. It may not be tough talking. Sometimes it might be very positive. But I'm just going to get a couple of cards from the Straight Talking Tarot for each of these. Now, remember, this is a year-long reading, so these energies could come up at any given time, but it's just some stuff to bear in mind around these areas. So around love and relationships, firstly, chill out. Yeah, don't be in such a rush. Like, go within. There's a very strong message here. The energy is there. And get out. Okay, yeah, leave anything that's not working. Leave anything that's not reciprocal. Leave anything that is overwhelming you. And like, it may be just take a bit of time off on your own. Like, it's almost like a spiritual spa. Go off to a spiritual spa. Around work or vocation, fake news, some stuff around what you're in is not honest. I think it's like moving past and away from that, from something that is not sort of seeing who you really are. So I think there's something like, yeah, it's the balance is not quite right where you are, but there's a chance to move away from that. Live life, yeah, and go after what you want. I think there might be a bit of a tendency in the place that you're in, either with the role that you do. This is if you're working or if you're doing a business. It sort of says you have to be the person who does all this and you can't be sort of pushing yourself forward. And that's like you need to get past that because it's not true. General well-being. Heal. Yeah, like you're not going to heal if you get impatient and rush into things. Also, if you are looking at any kind of medical issue or whatever, it's don't rush into it. Like, give yourself the time to have the balanced outcome because you can't rush healing. You can't rush that sort of thing. And one way, I think this is actually saying, well, it could be saying a couple of things. It could be saying that you've kind of got caught in only one direction and you almost need to go back and have a look at the other directions. It could be saying that, or it could be saying that once you actually point towards healing and realize that, everything comes into focus. So for some of you, you've just got to put yourself forward a little bit more, like make yourself the priority a bit more. And then spiritually, you are loved. So that's beautiful. People really like you. You're loved by others. I think you're also loved spiritually, because I think you're very psychic, very spiritual, very other person centered. Life lessons reverse. This is not about you learning from life. This is about going within and finding your spiritual direction. And there's also something spiritual. There's a big shift. It's almost like you have followed a spiritual path. You've learned what you were going to learn from that as well too. And you almost need to put that aside and move into something new. So it's going back to the Fool. It's the reset. Okay. So let's also get a pair of planets for each. This is actually turning out to be longer than I thought it was going to be as a reading. I wasn't really sure how long it would take. But it is whatever it needs to be. So around love and relationships. Sun and Neptune. Yeah, sun. Like what is your ideal? What do you want as an ideal? This is the thing to be thinking about. And making sure that any relationship thing is not just too idealistic. It links in with your life path. Around career. Mars and Mars. Yeah, there's frustration. You want to get moving. You want to do stuff. You might even be a little bit angry. And it will be understandable. But it's like, make sure you direct that in the right way. As I say, don't rush. There's a kind of impatience around it, so just be aware of that. Around general well-being, Neptune and Pluto. So, Pluto going into Aquarius could be sort of something that's affecting that side of your life, your general well-being. There's clarity, though. I think there's a breakthrough. If any of you are looking, if you have health issues that have been a little bit mysterious, then there's going to be clarity coming, like the veil is lifting. Otherwise, it's like there's very deep psychic energy shifting in this. And this is, as I say, understanding your kind of telepathy, understanding the power of that. And spiritually, Venus and Jupiter. Yeah, like whatever this is really good. Whatever the shift is really good. It's going more towards your heart. It's more expansive. It'll work better in a way. There's something kind of limiting around how you've approached things spiritually, and like liberating yourself, or it's done its dash and you need something new, and it's actually going to be very expansive and very much connected to the heart. Okay, to finish off, we're going to do three things. We're going to do a question about what is the main thing that could be healed for you this year, what you need to focus on, and an empowerment message. We're going to get a couple of animal spirit guides for you, and then we're going to see the illuminated path, the path of the illuminated soul, and energy overall spiritually to bring the year together for you. So what is the main thing that you could heal in this year? Stress. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like, speaking as someone who's ridiculously impatient, it is a really stressful thing. So I think I kind of can really understand you. I can sympathize. But by kind of clearing this out and getting more into where you're going to use your energy well and where it's going to expand and be what you want it to be, and looking at life as a bit of an adventure and that you're on the right path, you can heal a lot of the stress you've been dealing with. And if you shift from a workplace that's stressful, that's a good thing too. What should you focus on primarily? Craft. Okay, your skills. What are your skills? A creative outlet. How do you create things? What do you want to create with the Fool and the Empress there? But your skills. I think your skills, understanding them in a different way, both psychic skills and also kind of relationship management skills, there's more that you could get rewarded out of that, I think. And so you can move out of the stress of constantly dealing with it and moving into something that gives you something more. A message of empowerment is: put your hand on your heart and ask, what do I know about this situation? You may be surprised. You're going to be surprised by realizing how much, I think it's a psychic thing, how much you're connected to other people and what that has kind of cost you. I mean, it has given you some great skills, and that's something to know, but it's like getting that into balance, I think. And like kind of going to your heart, always going to your heart as the kind of barometer, is the way you get the aha moments, and you break through any sort of lack of clarity. All right, so what are a couple of animal spirit guides for you for 2025? Hare, luck beyond fear. Yeah, things are going to get better. Things are going to get better, but there's a lot of stress around all this, and this is like starting to believe in a different way that you can create what you want. And Elephant, learning from the past. Like, I think it's like looking back and understanding something has finished and what that means. And that you're not going to lose those lessons, but I do feel like something new is necessary now. But it's almost, I always sort of think of the Fool reversed as when you've gone through a whole thing and then you kind of know it so well that you don't sort of trip up. There's something very new about this because the Fool isn't reversed, but there's still lessons from the past that you can look at when you need to, but don't, it's sort of like a balance. It's like, don't just rely on lessons from the past because it's like spiritually you're meant to move forward and hair will help you with that. But when you need to, you can anchor it that way. Okay, last but not least, we're just going to get a spiritual soul path message for you for 2025 or energy that's around this for you. Medicine, the universal healer. There is something about healing here. It says, follow the rainbow full of universal love. Healing becomes you. Some of you in this, that's the other thing. Some of you in this heart-based centered sort of well-being might be to help others, and understanding that telepathy helps you to do that, but that you need to kind of position yourself in a way where that's recognized and where it's rewarded. Because I just feel like you're really, really good at this stuff, but it's almost invisible. And this is the year for it not to be invisible. But you also have to look after your own health and your own well-being and your own stress levels. Focusing on your skills and using your heart as a barometer is the way you can do it. So I think it's going to be a really good year, but I think there's a shift definitely necessary around career, vocation and recognition. But like with the sun as a starting point, as Hare is saying, luck beyond fear. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Hermit, with the Tarot of the Distant Kingdom. I feel that this suggests there's a lot of introspection and a lot of spiritual sort of contemplation in this year for you, a time of finding your way, possibly where there isn't a lot of natural or easy light to see. You create the light yourself by your inner knowing and your inner introspection. You may also, for some of you, have a year which is more quiet, more private than at other times. This could be the sort of card that you would get if you were at an age where you had left the workforce, for instance, and you are now actually going to be at home. Or if you had decided that you want to do something with career, vocation or creativity that requires privacy, like writing a book or something like that. It doesn't have to be that, but it's just, or a very strong spiritual focus, but there is something very private, very quiet and very introspective about the overall energy. Now remember, that's the overall energy that we're talking about. We're going to look at love and relationships, career and vocation, and I say vocation for those that aren't in a job or a business, but it's more like who you are in the world on that level. General well-being and spiritual progress, just to sort of see the energies for the year for you. So firstly, around love and relationships. 7 of Swords reversed. That's the Page of Coins or Page of Pentacles reversed. And the 9 of Swords reversed. Oh, okay. I think for many of you, this introspection, there's been some difficult times around relationships, whether it's love or whether it's other relationships. But it's a time where you can start to reconstruct. Like whatever it was, the worst is done. Like, so if you've been having a difficult time around relationships in 2024, the worst is over by 2025, but there's a kind of a internal reconstruction, which I'll talk more about. Around career or vocation, the Knight of Swords reversed, the 3 of Swords, and the 4 of Swords. Okay, I do think that a lot of this will have to do with career, vocation, or the balance of your relationships, whether they be love, family, or whatever, with who you are in terms of career or vocation. There's a lot of thinking, like a lot of thinking going on here. We'll go into more of it, but I feel it's coming out of something, but like being judicious and not rushing. Let's have a look at general well-being. With all that thinking, what's the general well-being? 10 of Pentacles. Your overall health is great. Okay, whatever else. 5 of Swords reversed. Knight of Cups reversed. Okay, and what about spiritual? With the Hermit, it'll be pretty strong, I think. 8 of Cups, King of Pentacles, Ace of Batons or Ace of Wands. Okay, so Yeah, I would definitely say that you were drawn to the Hermit because you're now in a much more introspective, contemplative thing because something's been really stressful, I've got to say, in the last year. 2024 has not been easy. In terms of relationships, you've come to a very realistic, or during this year, you'll come to a very realistic idea about the types of relationships you want, about, being with people who believe similar things, all of that kind of thing. And if you have been feeling, if people were guilt tripping you or gaslighting you or there was just stress, it's all lifting. As it lifts, you have the opportunity to restructure how you want to be in relationships. So whether, as I say, whether this is love, you might be in a very happy love relationship and this might be a lot to do with work, I've got to say, with what we've got over there in work. But if it is around love as well, I would say something was difficult, stressful, and you've moved away from it now. Or you've worked through something. Like this could be the sort of energy with a partner, a very close partner, where you've gone through a lot of therapy and it's actually been really successful, but now it's at the point where it needs to be kind of restructured because the Valet of Coins, or, the Page of Coins, to me is where we start to say it's like a business case. So around relationships, what do I really want from relationships, and what does that actually look like? Like it's more like it was in repair mode and understanding mode. Now it's in what would I want to structure. If you have left something and you're thinking about the next relationship, you're still in the contemplative phase. That might shift as the year goes on and we'll see what else we get. But there's a next step that follows almost the kind of therapy of it all in one form or another, whether or not you have professional therapy, you don't have to, but like the internal thinking about it and now saying what you want. For many of you, this connects with career or vocation. With Knight of Swords reversed, you're not rushing into anything. You may well have left or leave somewhere with the Three of Swords. You may say, although you won't rush into any decision, you may say, what I need to do is leave, particularly like with the Four of Swords there. Or if you don't literally leave, it may be that you negotiate something where you do a bit more work from home so you're not in the office as much, for instance. There's sort of a separation energy to retreat. It's not in a rush. It's done everything is done in a very well thought out way, but it's you. I feel like it's you that's got to work it out. I mean, as I say, you might have potentially had like a therapist or something, but in the end, you're the one who's carving a path and you don't really necessarily know where that path is going in the material way. There's a lot about the philosophy of what you want in your work, in your relationships, and I think for many of you it's kind of connected. General well-being, as I say, Ten of Pentacles, one of the best cards you can get for well-being, like Ten of Pentacles and things like the King of Coins or Pentacles as you have there. Very, very, your basic constitution, your basic health is really, really good. Really resilient, like with the Five of Swords reversed, you can keep on keeping on. You really can. But there's a little bit of heart sickness that you are working through. You're not ready to, I think, move forward into a new relationship until you work through what you actually want. That's the only thing. It's like there's some disappointment, I think, around relationships. It's been pretty heavy. A lot of you with work, but maybe happening in both aspects for some of you. So that's the one area you're working on, but you are as resilient as you are. What I have to say about this group is that you are more than capable of looking at yourself and what is going on. You're very realistic. You're very strong. Your constitution is strong. And you would approach everything, including difficult sort of like almost philosophical battles in workplaces or with people, with the sense that I will understand this, I will sort it through, I will move on. But it's like you live a lot in your head, and I live a lot in my head, so I know this. What can happen is that it's sometimes the heart, the emotions are a little bit pushed down while you're being very, very rational. So that's just maybe something to think about for your well-being, to make sure when you're contemplating this that you don't do that. What is good is on a spiritual level, you've got the Eight of Cups. So you are moving away from emotional things. Your spirituality is your way that you move through emotional patterns that aren't working. So that's good. And you consolidate that. It's like it's a process really, and then you have the energy to move forward. So we're almost seeing a sequence of events across them. It's sort of like there was something very stressful and you know you have to rebuild. This may, for some of you, require leaving something or withdrawing from something a bit. Not in a rushed way, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet and well-considered way. You have the resilience to do it. once you've actually worked those things out and you have a plan and you kind of know where this is going, you can then deal with the emotion. Emotion is the next thing. Spirituality helps you with that. You work out from the Valet of Coins reversed to the King of Coins. You actually work out what you want to manifest, and then you have the energy again. So that's the kind of pattern of what's going on for you. So let's see fortune energy. We're going to use Lenormand, and we're just going to have a couple of cards for each area. So for your love and relationships, and as I say, it can be any type of relationship, we have child. Okay, something new. For some of you, there could have been, like worst case scenario, I'm just going to say, I haven't put down all of it. Some of you may have separated and you may be working out literally with Valet of Coins reversed, child custody or whatever. If that's the case, you will see your child. That will work out okay. If that's not what's going on, then I think this is something new is necessary, and the child is almost a representation of the Page of Coins reverse, what you need to do there to start to build the new castle, so to speak. Then we also get coffin, because you've shifted on from something. Something new needs to be built because something has been shifted on. It was stuck. It needed to move on. Whatever this was, it needed to move on. What about work? Because I think for many of you, this is connected to work. Some it may not be, as I say. It may be that, you had a difficult love relationship. You've moved on from that so that you can build for something new. And there's also a similar sort of energy going on about what you want to do with your career. So we get Stork. Wow, that's interesting. Stork child. Okay, so that's just on a fortune level. For some of you, you may have been, okay, this is a very specific message, but I'm going to say it. For some of you, you may have been struggling for some time in your love relationship to get pregnant, but you get pregnant. As a result, you maybe take some maternity leave or separate out from work. It's not done in a hurry. It's done in a good way. But if that was the case, it was quite stressful getting there. So this is actually a very positive thing. It's actually, that on that level. Now, if it's not as true as that, because the stork often is, like getting pregnant, that kind of thing. But it's also good things coming in. So if it isn't about, a child, it's about you will have the opportunity. This is why maybe you don't need to rush to separate out and get something that is more aligned with what you want, because good fortune is coming in. And tree, yes, very healthy, very good fortune. There is a blessing around all of this. You've been through the worst of it. Whatever it is, you've been through the worst of it. So then around well-being, house, you have a sense of security, stability, and a sense of and knowing who you are. This is your strength. You are so strong, such a strong group of people. And we have sun. When you know your resilience and knowing what you want to create at the core of your life and what that would mean for your well-being gives you the life path. So it is for you. It's very head and material at first, but that's because you recognize you want to maximize any blessings that are coming in, and you want to minimize the repeat of anything that was stressful. And that's where you get the life path. Then you move towards the spiritual side of things. So there we have man. There could be a very important person about this. If you are male or identify as male, this could be your own strength again coming through. We're seeing the line there. Otherwise, there could be an important person. Could be coming up as the King of Coins as well around your spiritual development. It could be a very, very powerful masculine energy guide coming in. It could be an ancestor from your paternal line. But there's something about a male energy around your spirituality. And sides, something ends so something new can begin. It could even be, in fact, that there was a very powerful guide for you, or almost a kind of, for some of you, maybe you've shifted or you will shift some ancestral karma. You break that so that then you can start again. So for some of you, on a spiritual level, you might be actually through your process and your strength, because you're the one who's strong enough to do it, shifting ancestral karma probably from your paternal line that then allows for the new energy coming in. Okay, so let's have a look at chakra energy too to see how that's operating for you. So around love and relationships, we have the sacral chakra. I feel a lack of creativity underactive. Yeah, that's not surprising. I think you've been through a lot. I think the creativity comes through once you've worked out a response. Don't give yourself a hard time about that. This is sort of saying that new energy and new creativity is coming in. And if, as I say, if you're struggling to have a child, that's going to sort itself out. But don't give yourself a hard time. Understand your pattern. You kind of need to work it out sort of like philosophically and materially, and then that allows the emotion and the creativity to come in. And through your spiritual thing, that's going to happen. So don't push it, because then you just kind of get on your own case basically and give yourself a hard time. What about around your career and vocation? We have root chakra. Underactive. I'm not taking care of my physical resources. Yeah, there's a lot of stress energy around you. And that there, it's very much in the head. So I think, there's more of an answer here, because it's like your general well-being, you kind of go back to going, what's the material outcome? Your spirituality says, what's the material outcome? Your relationship says that this is the one area in your life around career or vocation where maybe you even think, I shouldn't be thinking about the money and the physical stuff. I should just be thinking about, is this the right connection for me in the way that I believe? So I do think that in your career, thinking about that is okay. And you maybe haven't done that. It will make you feel stronger as well. It's not all just a philosophical issue around career or vocation. What about your general well-being? We have the crown chakra. I sense knowledge overwhelm. So that may also be what's happening. I think that maybe what happens with you and why you suppress the emotion till you've done the other stuff is that it's too much. If all of it came through, it's too much. So I think this actually works for you. And if you have a sense of that, focus on the material and what makes sense to you logically, then you can gradually allow the rest in. And then what about spiritually? We have the crown chakra again. Overactive, I sense hyper-spiritualization. Yeah, there's sort of something you need to move away from so that the new energy can come through to get back to first principles. So, I mean, you are very strong. It's on all sort of levels. It's like you can deal with a lot of stress, and you could probably deal with a lot of kind of input coming in spiritually, but like you just need to get that kind of thing in balance, because it's like all the elements. It's like, because by the time you get to the spiritual side of this, you're trying to bring in the emotions, you're trying to bring in new creative energy. So it's how you can almost use the process around the philosophy and the material side of this to kind of almost as a process of elimination move out what isn't working. So you've got space for the rest of it. Okay, let's have a look at what Straight Talking Tarot wants to say around it. So this is kind of like, this could be for any time during the year around this. It could be some challenging stuff. It could be some promising stuff. So it's just some, here's where the rubber hits the road sort of energy. So around love and relationships, firstly we have, I am grateful. Okay. It's probably saying be grateful for the fact that the process that you're going through is going to bring something. It's going to break through a blockage. Understanding it on that level allows you to move forward with more confidence. We also have, don't stop. Just keep moving forward. You are strong enough to do this. Around your career and vocation, revival. I think there's a shift or a major change operating here. It could be, as I say, for some of you that you take sort of maternity or paternity leave or something like that. But I feel like whatever you do, it's sort of a more fundamental change. So say, for instance, you had a child and you went on maternity leave, you may then work out that you want to go part-time. And it's like, don't necessarily think you have to revive exactly the same thing. You're almost restructuring what you want to do. And if you have felt like something is just not working and it's just been too stressful, it's not going to get better. You just need to move on. Don't get angry. Just move on. So there is something. Your anger will dissipate once you've sort of made those decisions. General well-being. You don't have to think differently to what you're doing. It's not saying this process doesn't work. I think this process does work for you. Other people wouldn't work for. Other people have to start with their heart first or their creativity first. But this actually works for you. It's not requiring you to think differently. But maybe believe in yourself a little bit more. You might sort of doubt yourself a bit too much. Around your spirituality, open. Yeah, be open to something new, to the new. If other things are ending, be open to the inspiration that's coming through. and know your worth. Yeah, you're very strong. You're very strong. And you're spiritually very strong as well. Okay, so let's have a look at some astrology energy. Let's just look at pairings of planets that are maybe in energy also around the 4 different aspects of your life. So for love and relationships, Moon and Saturn, yeah, this is a very good example of this. This is like at the moment around relationships, the moon energy, the emotional energy is being kept under strict regulation while you're working it through. It's also looking at what emotionally needs to change from old structures. So it's kind of it's a gentle thing. That's interesting. Moon is a gentle energy with Saturn. Saturn's quite rigid. So I think, again, the way you're doing this is right because your mind can actually connect in with the Saturnian energy and like almost let the moon be an undercurrent. It's a bit like, in a piece of music, there's the main theme and then there's the undercurrent, there's the sort of sub melodies or whatever. So it's almost like the emotions are a little bit of a sub melody while you think this through. Then when we look at your career or vocation, your Uranus and Pluto, yeah, you're going to shift and change something big time around that. It's time. It's time for a bit of an evolution and revolution around what you do. Around your general well-being. Chiron and Uranus. Yeah, there's a breakthrough here for you in healing. And I think it's because you're strong enough to take the energy in. That's why when it sort of was saying, I sense overwhelm, you're actually able to do it. You're strong enough to do that when the inspiration comes through, and that's a healing energy for you. And it's like that allows you to move into the emotional realm. And for spirituality, Jupiter, very good. Yeah, like the thing that is coming in here is benefic, it's expansive, it's meant to be healing, joyful, all of those things. So the new energy coming through is very, very positive. But I do think that you've been doing it tough on one level or another in 2024. It's just you're strong enough for it compared to a lot of other people. Okay, so to finish off, we're going to do 3 things. Firstly, we're going to get a series of cards that looks at what can you most heal in this year, what do you need to focus on to do that, and what's an empowering message. Then we're going to get you a couple of animal spirit guides to help, and then we're going to finish with a card from the Path of the Illuminated Soul for a spiritual bringing it all together. So what can you heal in 2025 or in the next 12 months if you've looked at this at some later stage? Victimhood. Now, for you, what I would actually say is I don't think that you get into a victim mindset that's not true. I think you have gone through something because you're too resilient, you're too strong for this. I mean, like people who are professional victims are not that strong. You're very strong. But there has been something that was wrong. So you are able to heal that energy, to move past that. So what can you focus on best in this year to do that? Water, the emotional side of things. Like, yes, you work this stuff out, but like as quickly as you can, knowing how strong you are, get to the kind of what you need to deal with emotionally. Being around water, being in water, these things could also potentially help. And for some of you actually with the 10 of Pentacles there, like the Knight of Cups reverse, maybe some of you just need to get more water into your system too. Are you hydrated enough? A message of empowerment for you. Do not dim your light for anybody. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Yeah, like something's happened, but like emotionally cleansing and clearing that. You have a process. It's a good process and you're strong enough to do it and you're going to be realistic in what you do with it. So that's the big focus. Let's get you a couple of animal spirit guides for the year. Firstly, Turtle, wise stability. Yeah, there's wisdom. Your stability, your strength, all of that. You have a lot of wisdom, and that fits with the Hermit as well. So as I was saying, you're not a professional victim or anything like that. Something's happened, but you know how to bring stability, and you have the wisdom to do that. And Turtle will be here to help you with that. Plus, Armadillo, self-protection mode. Yeah, the animal guides here want you to know that what you're doing is wise, you have the resilience, but you also, while you're doing, self-protect and go the process that works for you. You don't really need the advice of other people much. I mean, you may have, as I say, some of you might have had therapy, in which case you're the one who's taking what needs to be taken out of it. Okay, let's just finish the reading with a spiritual energy for the year for you. Oh, lovely. Renewal, the golden hour. As I sit by the river's edge, get near water, watching the dying day, new seeds were sown. Yeah. This is like, there's not a revival. There's a big change around work, I think, because that's not where the renewal is. It's moving on or restructuring what you're doing. But overall, kind of in your well-being, in your love life, spiritually, there is a new energy coming through. And you know how best to process that for yourself. So trust that. But that's the reward, and that's the promise of the year. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you can do the reading with the High Priestess. So this to me could mean a number of things. It could be it's a very spiritually oriented year, a year where spiritual gifts, spiritual focus, etc. is part of what the focus is about for you. In addition to that, or otherwise, it could be about either secrets that you feel you have to keep for some of the time, like hidden knowledge, hidden secrets, either very much in a 3D sense or spiritually, or looking into and trying to understand the mysteries in some way, like a mystery, something forensic or whatever. So we'll see what we get. But there's definitely, it's either about hidden things, either things that you are hiding, and maybe for very good reason, or hidden things that you uncover potentially, or being inducted into some sort of secret knowledge. And I find it really interesting. This is just because of the way the light operates here, and I've been doing some stuff to try and stop the glare that I had on this desk before. But you can't actually, from where I'm going, like when I do that, you can see the title, and at other times it's like it disappears. So I think that's like something in itself. It's sort of like, I feel like you may have a role in something, in a relationship, in work, could be anything really, that may be a little bit hidden, like what you're really doing could be a little bit hidden. So what we're going to do is we're going to get 3 cards for love and relationships, 3 cards for career and vocation, 3 cards for general well-being, and 3 cards for spiritual. And that's going to be the sort of starting point of understanding the energies that are going on in the year, and then we'll build upon those with various oracle cards. So for you in 2025, or the next 12 months if you've come to this at some other time, the energy in love and relationships is the Sun reversed, the Star, and the 3 of Pentacles. Wow, it's pretty powerful, yeah. When we're looking at career and vocation, and why I say vocation is not all of you are in a job or in a business, so some of you it would just be what you feel that you're here to do, that kind of thing. We have the 4 of Swords, the 10 of Cups reversed, and the 8 of Cups reversed. Okay. Around general well-being, which could be physical, emotional, could be anything spiritual. We have the Hanged Man, the 6 of Swords reversed, and the Queen of Swords reversed. Just want to slightly shift the camera. And around spiritual energy, spiritual progress, we have Death reversed, King of Swords, 7 of Swords. Okay. Yeah, I think this thing about hidden knowledge with you, like whether a lot of you it's going to come out, I think, around spirituality. Like you could literally join some sort of an order or a magical tradition or something. But for some of you, it'll be like in a career, political, but there's something like that going on. I sort of see it a bit with these two. It's kind of playing out here as well as anything else. So around relationships, now remember this could be both love, and it's in love relationships, it can be family, it can be friendships. There's certainly good friendships. Like right from out the gate, 3 of Pentacles, there's some good friendships, there's good foundations around relationships. I don't see a lot of problem around relationships actually, whether they're romantic or whether they're, family or whatever. The Star, you're very optimistic, there's a good foundation. You may feel at the moment that you're almost a little bit, if you've got a timeline in your head about what your life path should be, you may feel in one or more aspects of your relationships, you're a little bit off course or a bit behind. So say you had thought at this stage in your life, you thought you'd be married with kids, maybe you're not. or you thought at this stage I'd have moved out of home and started my career. Maybe the economics things have meant that you couldn't. Or, like I, moved a friendship into something more and you're optimistic about it, but it's not yet quite taken. There's that sort of sense. The sun reverse is not really a bad card. I mean, like reversals are not necessarily bad, but there's just something about your life path connected to your relationships in this year where you're very optimistic and you've got a good foundation, but it's almost like you've just got to adjust a couple of things. That's what I feel. It's like a minor adjustment will make a lot of difference. And one of the things you're going to have to do with the Queen of Swords reversed here is not be too critical of anything that hasn't fit the plan. Like you may have because you may be very spiritual and you may have a sense of like, this is what my life is meant to do and this is where I'm meant to be. I just feel like something around relationships while you're progressing well is not quite to the time frame that you want it. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're really, really self-critical and you really shouldn't be. It's because really it's not that bad. It's really just kind of working it out. For some of you, it might be down to, when you look at the embryo in the sun there, it might be, like, oh, where am I at now? Is it the time I need to, have a child, for instance, or, that kind of thing. Like, is it something like that? Like some of you may be at a pivotal time age-wise around that. We're just trying to work out, is that something that I want to do or not? But it's okay. With the star there, you're still on course. You're far more on course than you're giving yourself credit for around relationships. And if you're sort of not in love at the moment and you'd like that, you've got many good friends, then there's all the potential is there. So it's like kind of just chill out a bit and like know that it's going to be okay. Career is interesting. I think you are at a point where you're not overly happy about that. So it could even be connecting to that. It could be that you feel that you've sacrificed relationships for your career and it's not where you want, or you've been focusing on relationships and not your career. But there's definitely something here with the 10 of Cups reversed and the 8 of Cups reversed where there's a sort of need to leave old emotional patterns behind about your career or vocation and to like get a little bit separate. For some of you, I think you're going to be at an age where, as I say, maybe you are young and you've been living with your birth family and it's like you really like there's a part of you that needs to break away from that to get a place of your own, to get space of your own. But it could also be that you're in a workplace and there's just a lot of emotional rubbish going on and you need to like work from home a bit more or just get a little bit separate from it. You don't really want to leave where you are, I don't think, but there's a lot of emotional energy around, so you need to find a place to have your own space. And as I say, for some of you it might be emotional energy that is more when you go home. There's lots of like noise and kerfuffle around that and you need a space that's your own. But there's just something like that. I just feel like that, as I say, it's like slight changes that could shift the energy for you between your expectation and what you're experiencing. And like for work, it's like it may not be giving you joy that you expected it to do at this point in time, but you don't want to leave it either. You kind of know you've got to go within and work out what is happening. For some of you, the thing that you need to find out might be some sort of like, there might be a lot of conflict in the workplace and you're going to sort of find out what's going on and you'll know you don't want to leave. I don't see you leaving a workplace. You might modify how often you're there or something like that. And I don't see if there's more about a vocation, you absolutely leaving what you want to do, but it's like going back within and working out where was the joy in it and how do I revive the joy in it. Around well-being, you are too self-critical, like with the Queen of Swords reversed. And it is possible if you go, no, I'm not, then maybe there's actually someone around you who's very critical, who's having an impact. It's like you've kind of halted everything because, as I say, I just feel that you think this was my plan for my life and why isn't it working out exactly like I expected? And it's like on a well-being, you've almost called everything to a halt because you don't know what the next step is. And maybe it's analysis paralysis too. Or someone is criticizing you and they're putting you off course, in which case you need a bit like this, and it could be in the workplace, you need to kind of separate out so you go into your inner wisdom. But there's just a sense of you're halting yourself to kind of like go, what is going on here? And as I say, it's like I think you have a very strong sense of destiny and who you are, and you're not as far away from it as you think. And that's why I think you're overthinking it. So spiritually over here, if you can like kind of get a little bit more in balance with that and not be so hard on yourself, you can work out why it is that you don't think either that the decisions are coming when you expected them or the signposts are coming when you expected them, or you can work out why it is that you're reluctant to make a choice. And then you'll have what you need to make the strategic choice. So your spirituality, your kind of inner knowing, is what gives you the kind of strategy that you need and brings you into a sense of equilibrium and takes you away from the self-criticism. But you're not going to make a choice till you get there. And this goes back to what were your expectations and where are you at the moment? So I just think this is a group very spiritually attuned, have a really strong sense of destiny. You probably know your astrology chart backwards. You probably know, you probably kind of like do this sort of stuff and all of these sort of things. You kind of have a real sense of it. And as I say, just something's a bit out of whack. And when you can work that out, everything kind of falls into place. And I suspect if anywhere is an issue, it's around career. Something's not quite gelling there, but you don't necessarily want to leave what you're doing. Like whether it's you might want to leave a workplace, but you don't want to leave doing the type of work you do. But it's sort of like if it's leaving something, it's a qualified departure. So, if you're a journalist and you love being a journalist, but you're no longer simpatico with the publication that you're writing it for, you don't want to leave journalism, but you go somewhere else, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's build on this a little bit more. Let's start firstly with just some straight out fortune energy using Lenormand for each area. So a little bit more around what's going on around relationships. But by and large, you're fine. But as I say, you're not entirely on board with everything that's going on at this point in your life around relationships. So what are we seeing? Bouquet. So it's good. It's basically good. You may even have some relationships around you that you're not sure they're what they should be, but they are actually good. If you start from the first principle that they're good, then you can build on them. If you start from the principle that they're not quite what you expected, then you're not sort of like, it's almost like on one side we've got the flourishing flowers and on the other side we don't. Like in the way that it's portrayed here, it's like you make a choice. Is this something good or is this something that wasn't what you expected? Could even be that you're in a relationship or you just started a relationship, it's moved from friendship to something else and you're thinking, but this isn't the type of person I expected, but there's a lot of promise there. And we have cross. Okay, this is big. There's big stuff around this decision. And you may put too much weight on what you think the secret of the universe is and how this all fits. Because the cross is often a cross we bear and it can bring pain. So there's a kind of, this energy. I think that you critique yourself too much. Don't carry the cross yourself. Start to see what is good here because, as I say, it's only a slight thing to shift it. If you are just around friends and you want more, then you have to kind of like allow that friends are great and you could meet someone through friendship. Like, are you taking too much on? Let's have a look at work, where I do think there's a shift because the joy's kind of gone out of it. You need to retreat and work out what kind of shift you need. We have Fox. There's maybe people you can't trust. So again, you need to get away. It could be a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of like negative energy that you've got to go within because you can't necessarily trust other people. And if there is someone who's criticizing you, do not trust it. And letter, you're going to get some information. Some information is going to come to you, I think, that will clarify some of this. But it depends on who it comes from. If the letter or the information comes from someone you don't trust it. If it actually gives you the aha moment that you are trusting somebody that you shouldn't, then that will help as well. But there could be an offer as well. It could be an offer to go somewhere else. If that's the case with Fox, check the fine print on any of it before you accept anything. It may be the truth coming to you to get you away from something that isn't quite right, or it could be something that is a bit of a trap. So just be aware of that. Because it's kind of like there's a lot of emotional energy going on in here and you might not want to sort of leave, and so you might make alliances that aren't right. So it's really use your inner knowing and your discernment again. Don't rush into a decision. Around general well-being, where you're kind of halting everything till you sort this out. Heart, okay. What does your heart want? Use that as a bit of a guide rather than anything else, not your head. You are far too critical of yourself. And Clover, things are going to get better. If you go into your heart, you can get a sense that things are actually more on point than you think. Pour your heart on yourself. You know what it sort of feels like? It feels like, you might have been, I don't know, this might not be for everybody, but it might have been like a bit of a child prodigy. And like everybody saw you were going to, I don't know, be the president of the United States or something. And it's not really going in that direction, but it's not going in the wrong direction. And you have so many talents and so many skills and that kind of thing. It's just like kind of throw the old blueprint out and start with one that comes from the heart, because good energy is trying to come in. Also, if any of you have any issues around your heart, cardiac health or whatever, it's getting better. And then when we look at spirituality, stork. Something new and good is coming in. It's often a sign of children. So for some of you, it might be if you felt you weren't quite on course for children, then it is going to come in. So don't worry about it. But otherwise, it's like good news. It's good energy, new beginnings coming in. So the choices that you want are coming in, and you'll be in a good position, like spiritually, to know what to do with it. And birds, but like along with that comes gossip. Okay, there's something going on for this group where, and I think it's primarily in the workplace, where there are some things not to trust. So just be aware of that. But remember, go into your inner knowing. You're going to surface certain things. You're going to realize certain things. That will help you make the right decision, and it will ultimately be a good thing. But keep your counsel. This is why it's saying be private. Keep it secret. Do not share this with everybody, because it could be gossiped about or misrepresented. So I really think it's around work. So just be aware of that. Work or whatever your vocation is. Okay, let's have a look at some chakra energy in each area of your life. So around love and relationships, we have the third eye chakra. I see, but I can't concentrate, underactive. Yeah, I think that you are connected to others, but you're shutting it down, and I think you need to. I actually don't think that's a bad thing. I think third eye is where we're telepathic, and I think normally, particularly with the high priestess, is what drew you here. You are telepathic, you are psychic, but I think at the moment you'd be overwhelmed. So it's not about concentrating. That would be overthinking. I think it's sort of like just kind of chilling and letting things, starting just to look for what's good rather than trying to get to all the answers, because things are going better than you think. So have a look at work or vocation, where I think the main challenge of the year is, and we get the third eye for that one as well. I see and can lack clarity, overactive. Yeah, it's like there's a lot coming in there. That's why it's good to actually take time out and just chill out, because you're very psychic, you're picking this up. Some of you may have gone to a couple of readings. There's another reading where I had a very strong sense that there was almost an overload of telepathy operating. So if you did go to both, it's a double confirmation of that. Around general well-being, we get root chakra. I am being impulsive, overactive. Okay, I think you're giving yourself a hard time about that. This doesn't feel impulsive. This feels like the exact opposite. I think that what this might be saying, the inner critic goes, if I just follow my heart and expect it's going to be good, I'm being impulsive. So I think you kind of self-regulate yourself too much, pile 3. But, if you're feeling that at all, if you know that, like, if you suddenly ran after something, you'd feel that, then take the time out. Get in within your spirituality. Make sure that you sort of feel it's right. Because I could tell you're over-criticizing yourself till I'm blue in the face. But if you feel that, you're going to do it. So it's like, how do you get past that? And then spiritually, we have solar plexus. I do have low self-esteem right now, underactive. Yeah, like you feel like something isn't working. And it could be gossip and people not to trust at work, which has nothing to do with it. But that's not your fault. It's just get separate and work out what you want to do with that. But I think right from the beginning, it felt like things are actually going really well, and things will go very well in this year. But you kind of feel like you're somehow behind the 8 ball. You haven't kind of like achieved what you wanted to achieve by now. But, you're actually closer than you think, and there's some really good foundations. And it's your own self-doubt, combined with whatever is going on, particularly around a workplace, that's slowing you down. But like going within and working out the mystery, that's the key thing to do. So let's see some straight talking tarot. So this is a deck that kind of doesn't pull any punches. This could be energy at any time in the year, but we just want to see some other stuff in each area. So around love and relationships. If you mess up, fess up, reverse. You haven't done anything wrong, okay? This is not a message you need to think about. If other people are making you think it's you, it's not you. You might be frustrated if others aren't doing it over there, but don't take stuff on for yourself. You're actually more on course than you think you are. And top secret. Wow. So there is something secret. Maybe a relationship's coming in and you're going to need to keep it secret for some reason. Or it's in this environment, keep your life plans and what you want and your relationships top secret because it's too gossipy where you are. Might be where we've got the High Priestess as well. You know that you have to keep certain things hidden. Around the work or vocation energy, know your worth reversed. Yeah, you're underestimating yourself. Or you might be being underestimated in the midst of whatever's going on. And beware. Yeah, beware of the energy that's affecting your self-esteem. Now, this is interesting, actually, with 10 of Cups reversed and 8 of Cups reversed. I'm not saying to you necessarily leave if you don't want to. Because it may be because you love the organisation and it's just you think it's a short-term thing and you can move, or you love what you're doing with your business but you've just got to make the adjustments, or you love the industry you're in, so you could kind of leave the workplace but not the industry. I'm not saying to do that by necessity, but if you are holding on because you're trying to prove something, you're trying to get people to go, yes, actually you are. If you're being, bullied or not recognised and you're just holding on just to prove a point, that is not a good thing to do. I mean, obviously look for another job. Don't sort of get yourself into financial problems. But I have seen, and this is talking to someone who was a senior HR person, I have seen people ruin their self-esteem by holding on in bullying environments that weren't showing their worth, to the point that they don't feel confident when they could go. So if there's something like that, do not hold on just by stubbornness and by criticizing yourself and saying, I have to prove something. The only thing you have to do is try and make sure that you operate within your highest ethics and your highest happiness. So that should be what you look at it. So be careful. And if you are in somewhere that is not recognizing your worth, it's not a good place to stay long term. Okay, then general well-being. Yeah, you've closed the door a bit on something. It might be that, to some degree, this may be that you need time out. So if everybody wants something from you, it might be, the store's closed, basically. I need to recoup my energy. And wrong way. Yeah, I think, and it's funny that it fell where the Queen of Swords is. Self-critique is the wrong thing to do. Be open to yourself. Be open to what could come in that is good. Don't think that anything that you do is just too impulsive. You're not open enough to what could be coming in. But you might have to leave a negative energy to be able to see that. And spiritually, success reversed. You kind of don't believe you're going to be successful. You're holding off on the decisions that would make you successful. And revival, but you can revive that. You have everything you need. Like, as I say, it's like a child prodigy who was expected to kind of excel in everything, and you suddenly hit the workplace and then you're dealing with all the office politics and it's not quite that simple anymore, and you kind of think, oh, I'm not going to be successful. But you need to revive what it was that you have within you, because it really is still within you. Just got to understand you sort of at various levels and in different stages of your life. You're dealing with a bunch of competitors who are going to have their own stuff. So there's something like that going on, I think. I mean, you've got to go within to understand you're closer to being on point than you are giving yourself credit for. Okay, let's see some astrology energy about it. We're just going to get pairings of planets to show the energy around each area. So again, around love and relationships. Venus and Jupiter, yeah, things are good. There's some really good relationships here, and they could really expand. And if it's a friendship, you're wondering if a friendship could be more than a friendship, it absolutely could be. So this could be the sun, realizing that. This is an expansive and good area. I do think there's some people not to trust around work, but I think in general, great friendships, great potential for love, all of those sort of things. It's actually going to be a very positive year around love and relationships. Career, vocation, that sort of thing. Venus and Pluto. Okay. This is saying there is change that is necessary and change that is going to come. But this is why you don't want to leave. You are still kind of in love with what you're doing. So I don't think it's a change of what you're doing. It may be where it is or who you do it with or something like that. There is a revolution. There is an evolution going to occur, but it's to take you closer to what you love. Then when we look at general well-being, where, as I say, you're kind of like, you're not confident in the way that you should be confident. So what's the astrology around that? Sun and Jupiter, get confident. It's going to get better. You are on path. You're really hard on yourself, pile 3. Like, you don't need to be. This is a time of expansion. Just don't limit it that much. You've got to be open for this to come in. And then around spirituality, Neptune and Neptune, you're very psychic, but you don't trust it. Wow, isn't that interesting? I think like one of the reasons that you're brilliant, because I think you're brilliant, and then you've hit the kind of interpersonal stuff, and where life gets in the way of our perfect plans, and it's knocked you a bit. But and maybe people who are jealous or competitive are kind of like making that happen. And maybe if you were always just so easy, things came easily, you were so good at things, you're kind of really turning on yourself. All those things are happening because you are actually brilliant and very psychic and very spiritual, but you're not believing in yourself anymore. So this is a time to shift that and to recommit to knowing that your inner knowing is the right thing. It's the right navigation, rather than sitting in a kind of lack of clarity, which is kind of stopping your forward momentum. So I think that's the real challenge for this year for you. Okay, so let's have a look. What we want to do is 3 things I want to do to close out the reading. Firstly, there's a trio of cards or decks that show what is the biggest thing that could be healed in this year, what should you focus on to do it, and what's the message of empowerment. Then we're going to get you a couple of animal spirit guides to support you. And lastly, we'll have a look at how this all comes together spiritually. So what is the biggest thing that could be healed for you in 2025, given this energy? Emptiness. Yeah, see, look, you really doubt yourself. You don't need to, or feeling that you're going to be alone, or feeling that you're sort of like, like, did I get the seat at the table? Why didn't I get the seat at the table? Why aren't I sort of center stage? Like, there's something like that going on, but it's all there. You've just got to kind of like go back within and recommit to it and revive it. So what should you focus on? So this is a year that things will get considerably better, but you've got to work on this self-doubt. What should you focus on? Relaxation. Yeah, take a bit of time out and dream it all up again, because you really do have the ability to do what you want to do. But, you've kind of just lost the faith. What's a message of empowerment for you? Allowing people their own path is a powerful way to show incredible unconditional love. Maybe it's sort of like other people's expectations are what's going on here too, and let them go off on their path. Don't feel that you have to compare with other people. And if somebody is being dishonest, you don't have to kind of have a sense of retribution. It's just kind of let it go, because you've got to recalibrate to your thing, because there's a lot of potential here. You've got huge potential. You always have, and you really can do it. But something's knocked you. So this year is about regaining that. So it's a good energy, but you just got to get off your own back. Okay, so let's get you a couple of spirit guides to help with that, animal spirit guides. Wolf, teaching of the master. Okay, now this is interesting. So you've mastered more than you think. It's an interesting thing with mastery, actually, because as I say, I'm going to go back to the thing. I think you're like child prodigies. Whether that literally was the case or not, it's an analogy that will work. There's this kind of process where, where you're talking about the great artists or the great musicians or whatever. When they had that, if they were lucky enough to then get into some sort of educational thing where they mastered their craft, so music or art or whatever, for a long time, they had to kind of almost replicate the past and follow what others were saying. Once they'd mastered it, they then had to create what they were going to do with it. And, like whatever time frame was for that, Mozart did it really quickly, I guess, but others, maybe, went through, art school or whatever it might be. There's something here where this is actually inviting you to move into your mastery. And you don't think that you're there, but you actually are. And it's almost like some of the stuff that you're dealing with from others is actually people who are threatened by you. But you have to find your own voice again. You have to kind of go within and find your own voice again, because you have a secret, which is why you're going to be a master of something. And Wolf is here to help you with that. But you need to let other people go who aren't going to deal with it or understand it. And then the other spirit guide, shark, red flag. Yeah, you got to know who to trust and who not to trust, and let them go. Just let them move on. This is shark-infested waters because it's high stakes, but it's only high stakes because you are very valuable. That's the thing to know. But you'll get the protection. You'll know. You'll get some really good indications about when somebody is not doing the right thing by you. So to finish off, let's just get a card from the Path of the Illuminated Soul for the kind of spiritual energy overall of the year for you. Wow, yeah, perfect storm, the weather vane. When lightning strikes and towers do fall, weather the storm. It's like you do have to go through this. You have to go through understanding what's going on to come out of it. And you might have just been through the storm, actually. I sort of feel like it's a little bit calmer now, but it's like in the sort of aftermath of the storm, what have you come to understand, and what is that telling you to get back on path? And, is there anything that's still to be wary of, and how do you move into your mastery? Again, we don't move into our mastery without a storm, without a challenge. So there is a challenge this year, but it's a challenge to kind of recommit to belief in self. So, and like it's a powerful thing. Like what you're doing is powerful. And as a result, there's going to be some powerful adversaries as well. But you can deal with it and just let that go if you understand that's what's going on rather than taking it within. And you're going to learn some secrets about yourself, and you're going to learn some secrets about the environment that you're in and the people that you're around. But you will come through that because this is meant to be expanding. This is meant to be of the heart. This is meant to be your life path expanding. And so clarity, it's all about finding clarity. So I hope that resonates for you. It's a bit of a challenging year, but a good year. It is a good year, but you've got to kind of like really grab your destiny again and your mastery again. It's all in you though, Pile 3. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. I hope that it was helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.